Hey guys, Shelby from OM here. I'm here for today's Tactical Tuesday, and today I will be talking about the dynamic search ads within the Google Ads platform. So dynamic search ads, in case you don't know, they are a really great way to expand your reach via, just using a lot of Google's algorithm to find traffic rather than relying on keywords, targeting based on those and matching search terms that users are inputting. It actually generates content based on what's on your website. So it'll generate headlines. It'll generate, that's actually how it'll generate the landing page. So it'll pick like from your different pages on your website, and it'll actually choose one to be the best fitting landing page for the specific search term that somebody has inputted, as long as it matches as you're targeting. So going down, this is really good for a lot of industries. It actually doesn't work for some, or it might not work as well for some. Rather. So just make sure that you do your research, you have an idea of what it is specifically that you're looking to achieve, and you feel that Google search ads might be, or the dynamic search ads specifically are going to be, or might be a good fit for you. So a couple things that they mentioned on the support article, definitely they're not recommended if your website is changing rapidly. So let's say you are a hotel chain, you're always hosting new deals, you're promoting them every single day, or even like every week they're changing. Just because Google's algorithm is pulling content from your website is just really not going to be able to keep up with rapid changes. So you want to make sure that, if that's something you're doing, this just might not be a good fit for you. Also, just as a general note with Google ads and a lot of ads online in general, there are restricted industries. So for Google specifically here, they note pharmaceutical, gambling, and adult, and there are some others that you should definitely look into if you think that you might be in a restricted category. And then finally, you are actually going to see a lot better performance, or you might see a lot better performance rather, if you have a really well optimized website, if your pages are optimized with good headlines, metadata, alt text, the linking structure is really good. Things like that are just going to help you, or they'll help Google really be able to pick the best fit that it sees, like to get a conversion based on the search terms. So I'll move over here into Google now. So a couple ways you can do this. We chose to do this by creating a new campaign. We did this because we didn't want to have any of the ad budget from these dynamic search ads pulling from the main budget of the campaigns that we have that have been working very well. So you can definitely choose to create the ad groups within the existing campaigns that you have, or you can set aside some budget specifically to test your dynamic search ads. And then maybe eventually, you see them doing really well, you might move them into your main campaigns. But that was just the reasoning we chose, and it's totally up to you. So I'm here within that campaign. I'm creating a new ad group. It defaults to standard. So what you're going to do is click here and change it to dynamic. And then once that's done, usually it'll ask you to click continue. You'll give it a name, and then you can choose a couple different ways to target. So one of the default options is choosing specific landing pages that Google recommends for your website. So here you can see like the home page, a couple different specific pages, some landing pages. You can also choose specific web pages if you don't see one that you like there in the recommended. So you can use exact URLs, one URL per line. If you want to do multiple, you can also create rules. So let's say you have a series of resource pages that all have your domain name / resource / like this specific page. So you could say anything that contains my domain / resource, use that as a URL. So you could definitely say something like that, and you could do a couple different rules like that. So if you want to do resources and then maybe like blogs or articles or webinars, things like that, whatever fits for you, you can do that. Additionally, you can also just say, I will just put it on all web pages, whatever works. One thing I will note is if you have pages that you do not want to do, make sure you come in here after you've created it and you actually exclude web pages. So for us, we actually excluded blog posts because after creating this, we realized that a lot of our paid traffic was going to the blog post, and just because the CPC was really high, and we have some actionable things on our on our blog post, but we just didn't feel it was appropriate, especially for the spend that was being directed to those pages. We just went ahead and excluded that as targeting. With this targeting, actually, one thing that I am missing here is topics, and a lot of the reason I think it's missing here is because I have excluded those blog posts. That's a lot of where our content is, a lot of our specific things. So usually you'll have a topics thing here. It's the same thing as the landing pages. It is chosen by Google, so you don't have the ton of control there. You can't really look for topics that you specifically want, but still a really good option. Like for this home buying client, we had things like tax liens, foreclosure properties, things like that, like things that we buy. that were pretty good fits that just didn't really work out because it was targeting specifically our blog. So isn't always the best, but definitely something to test if that's something you're looking to do. So once you've picked this out, I'm just going to, for quickness sake, I'm going to pick the homepage, click save and continue, and you'll be driven to create some new ads. The very interesting thing about dynamic search ads that I briefly mentioned earlier is that it's going to pick your landing page, and it's actually also going to pick your generated headlines as well as the display URL. So it'll pick, maybe it'll pick a blog post and it'll display it as the home page, and it'll pick the headline that is actually on the blog post, assuming it fits. Actually, the nice thing about these dynamic search ads is it can pick very, very, very long headlines. Say you have a e-commerce business, maybe you're selling very specific brands of maybe like headsets, things that have very long, like brand name, 100x, 2P, they just have a very long name. It'll actually pull all of that down to the color and things like that, so that if somebody's searching for that, it's going to come up, and that's going to be a super just hyper relevant ad, and it's going to really drive somebody to click and probably convert. It just really, it's interesting that they're breaking their 30 character rule for the headline, but it is, it's a great resource if that's something you're looking to do. So really the only things you have to do with these ads, I like to create 3, just like in general, like you would maybe 3 or 4, give them the description 1 and 2. Another thing that we also recommend is putting in your tracking template. So like what we would do would be a curly bracket LP URL, the question mark, UTM underscore campaign equals example, and then just going through with, medium, I did that wrong, UTM medium, and then going through and doing source. And if you have anything else like your term or content, any of the other parameters, you can put those in. And then making sure you test that, making sure everything works. You can also put your extensions in there, whether they are brand new or you've already created, but it's definitely recommended that you put those in there. So if you have any other questions, that's really about it. But if any questions, please feel free to reach out in the comments below. Depending on what platform you're on, we'd be more than happy to reach out and answer your questions as best we can. And other than that, that's about it. So I hope y'all have a good one. Thanks. Bye.